Welcome to DKM episode 42, ladies and gentlemen. We're back after a week break. Last week, it became a little bit complicated with our schedules. Things didn't match up as well, so we're back. So sorry for that. Currently, it's just going to be Daniel and I. Kenny's feeling a little bit under the weather, so hope everyone has their thoughts out for him. Please send good messages to him. Yeah, that'd be real nice. But it's
Send
just
some positive vibes.
positive vibes, 100%. It's just going to be Daniel and I. And honestly, we're just going to be taking it chill. Obviously, we're a week late on some events. Obviously, the Sony Showcase 2021. There's many things that's happened along the week. Both the Epic and Apple case finally settled. The real results of the PS5 heatsink came out. Like the actual test results. We have the Activision nonsense. How it's getting even worse from now. Halo Infinite. What's happening with Halo Infinite, just small little updates, but we really want to focus on the Sony Showcase. So if you don't mind, Daniel, I'll take it off with these updates that honestly.
Do you want to start with the Sony showcase first, or let's start with the smaller stuff quickly and then get up to that?
Sure, we can do that. So I'm just as tired of talking in as much as anyone else, but honestly, this is a big company, and it's important to know that we have to set a standard for anyone who treats their employees, especially in the gaming industry, in such a way where it's abhorrent, it's disgusting, it's outright evil. So Activision it's now being accused of illegally coercing, surveilling, and intimidating employees during the protest, especially with whoever's in charge of dealing with the union on Blizzard side, who was very, very infamous for union busting. It's just not looking good, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see the whole Activision Blizzard maybe splitting up, because this is just too much. This is too much smoke, to the point where, and I'm sure you've noticed this, Daniel, on the Vanguard trailer, Activision tried its best to hide its logo, which is really rare for any Activision game when it comes to publishing, because they just love to put their logo out there, whether it be from the original Tony Hawk games to even now. But obviously with Vanguard, with the whole publicity thing that's happening with Blizzard, they really put their logo opaque in the corner. So things aren't looking well too. Things aren't looking too well for Blizzard. Obviously, this has been happening for months, but a lot of people are getting mixed reviews on the whole Vanguard beta and alpha, saying, hey, this is a new COD game my friends and I can play, because it looks like it's doing a lot better than Cold War beta. The thing is, it's an Activision game, so it's a matter of principle. So would you consider getting Vanguard, Daniel? I honestly think you won't.
I mean, you'd be kind of. I think if you're a betting man, I think you're betting on the right horse on that one, Chief. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've been watching videos of Vanguard here and there, and I don't know, man. To me, my thing with the Call of Duty franchise is that they can't innovate because of such a short development time that it's almost impossible. And I don't know, when I'm looking at everybody's general opinion of Vanguard is that this game looks really much the same. It just feels like another cookie cutter World War II Call of Duty game that is kind of forgettable. I mean, at best it's all right, but as principle aside, I don't know. I probably won't waste my time with it. I mean, as I've said before, my cutoff point with the franchise was Black Ops 1. I didn't get back into playing Call of Duty. I legitimately bought the game until Black Ops 4, and that was because of the Battle Royale mode, and that was such a shit show.
Yeah.
And I was looking forward to Modern Warfare 2019, and I had a blast with Modern Warfare 2019. And then Warzone came out, and I played that, and then that was kind of already forgotten because of how people are just fed up with the fucking lack of anti-cheat and things like that. And I didn't even bother with Cold War or any of the other Call of Duty games afterwards. So Vanguard to me looks like, I don't know, it just looks like another Call of Duty game. Cool. Add another one to the pile. And I don't know, I think people are just so burnt out on it. I've been thinking about this. I've been scratching my head on this lately. maybe it's just me, but to me, I jumped out of the franchise. I don't want to go too deep into this Call of Duty rabbit hole, but maybe it's just me. But when I jumped out of the franchise, I was only 3 games in, you know.
Right.
But I know that there's a lot of people who've played every Call of Duty game, especially if you're a YouTuber back then, and the Call of Duty franchise was your cash cow. You probably played every Call of Duty game, whether you liked it or not. And I remember that Ghost was the one that was very divisive. But I'm trying to understand is that, like, at what point do you blame the player or the franchise? Like, should you just move on from that point if you don't like stealth games and you play the Thief franchise or Dishonored or any stealth game for that matter? Is it just that at that point should, as the player, just play something else, or should, you know, should the franchise just innovate? I don't know. I'm my point is exactly is it that the modern generation of kids who play Call of Duty now, do they still find it fun? Do they still enjoy it? Because to them it's like their first Call of Duty. Because you know that moment, that awkwardness where it's like when a franchise has been going on for so long, there's obviously going to be a generational difference. Maybe people nowadays, like kids nowadays, that, you know, we grew up playing Modern Warfare 2 and Black Ops 1, maybe to them they grew up playing, you know, World War 2 and fucking Advanced Warfare, for example. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they don't find it as boring and stale as everybody else.
Right. And here's the thing with, at least with Call of Duty, the same way you can talk about FIFA games, 2K games, Madden games. It's when you go back to Call of Duty 4 and how revolutionary it was to first-person shooters, and how just Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare, how it innovated the industry, how it just changed the game. Where if you had to put a name to it, it was actual perfection, and it obviously.
I would argue.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry. I mean but my thing is when people say like, oh, the Call of Duty like really, I don't think that they were groundbreaking. I think what it is that they just standardize everything. They standardize kill streaks. They standardize online multiplayer.
Right.
They made basically what is considered the modern day console shooter.
Right.
And I think that that's like the basis that we're all using as a comparison. I don't think it's like groundbreaking or anything, but I think that that's what people are kind of associating it with, you know?
Because were used to at the time World War II games, some of them were obviously multiplayers as well. We were used to that. We were aware that, hey, like, multiplayer is fun, but Call of Duty 4, compared to all the other games out there, the other first-person shooters out there, couldn't hold a candle. And from Call of Duty 4 to World at War to Modern Warfare 2 to Black Ops 1, all of these games had their own unique style. You can tell the difference between Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 1 to World at War to Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 2.
I've always gave credit that Modern Warfare 2 had the best color. In my opinion, this was like when when everybody was complaining that like all games had like this brownish look to it. I would agree with it, but I think that Modern Warfare 2 had the best color.
Right.
And I think that that's probably why I gave it so much praise, for at least the presentation wise.
They went back to that style that you were talking that you just described in Modern Warfare 3, but with Modern Warfare 2, I can agree with that. But if you look at now with like current Call of Duty games, they all look the same, and the reason why is that Modern Warfare 2019 did such an excellent job at Infinity Ward did such an excellent job with Modern Warfare that the loading screens for for Warzone, for Warzone's part of Infinity Ward's thing anyways, but at the beginning, but Cold War and even Vanguard, when you're in the multiplayer lobby, it's the exact same carbon copy of Modern Warfare where your soldiers just walking along.
I was watching the Vanguard footage and it's like the same fucking lobby system laid out. I appreciate the uniformity, but this is like, wow, it's like when you launch the game, there's 4 fucking different iterations of the same fucking game.
I will say, though, one thing that's very creative that Cold War did, and that's to their benefit, so like when you hop into a match, usually in Modern Warfare you would be in a van or a helicopter, then you just jump in, but in Cold War, it'd be like a movie. You're on a boat, you're breaching into some place, you're checking corners, and then the match countdown starts and it goes 3, 2, 1, and then boom, you're in the game. It's like a movie that makes the whole loading sequence a whole lot more smooth. And I really, really like that. But honestly, Modern Warfare was such a just huge success that they're just going off on it. And to clarify with your point about they barely have any time to create any games, to develop any games, that was definitely true for Cold War. They got a short end of the stick because they didn't have much time to truly develop their own game, given the whatever circumstances they were. But Vanguard is using the Modern Warfare engine, and Treyarch is going to be working on zombies for Call of Duty Vanguard. So Some people could say it has best of both worlds. Hopefully that is the case, but honestly, it is what it is. Hopefully, I can only be optimistic about it. But at
Yeah, worst case scenario, it's another Call of Duty game, harmless, exists, made by a shitty company.
right,
Nothing to really get worked up over. That's the best way I could look at it. It exists, and maybe I'll give it a try, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I was burnt. I barely played Black Ops 4 to this day, so I've never touched Black Ops 4 zombie mode. I hated the multiplayer. The blackout was such a fucking afterthought, and at least it proved my experiment about like why you can't sell a battle royale, and every battle royale needs to be a free to play game. Because Black Ops 4 has proved that it doesn't work. And Model for 2019, I was kind of excited because it was going back to what I knew and what I liked. And while it was fun, I did enjoy it for the first couple weeks. I kind of just said, all right, cool, that's my Call of Duty game. Because like with most Call of Duty games, you play for, at least for me, I play them for maybe a month or two.
right,
And then later I just kind of put it away and then go play something else.
right. So much like how Call of Duty 4 really revolutionized the whole, not revolutionized, but really set a
Standardized.
yeah, for FPSs and how they should work. Halo did its own thing. Obviously, Halo 3.
Oh yeah, especially with Halo 2, like that already
Right.
was a phenomenal thing. Like having its own friends list and shit, like that's crazy. That within a game figured out how to put friends list before the whole system.
We can even look at Halo, the difference between Halo 1 and Halo 2. Like something as simple as Halo 2's implementation of dual wielding really changed the game, and you could tell like the developers really made a huge difference. Different, like hold up, wait, no, yeah, they really stood out in how different they were as developers because they really put a lot of love into Halo 2 and Halo 3 to the point where honestly, I could see both arguments on saying which Call of Duty, which Halo is better, Halo 2 or Halo 3, because honestly, both those games are so amazing, so phenomenal, that it's a shame that Kenny's not here to talk about this because he would obviously have more input on this because he is the Halo guy out of the three of us. But regardless of that fact, Halo did so much that to the point where, at least with the original Bungie team, it just revolutionized multiplayers because Halo 3 basically became the game of the decade, and there's no argument on that. But now with Halo Infinite coming out, one thing that you can say about Halo that you can't say for Call of Duty is there's so much replayability on the campaign because there's challenges, there's different things to do, there's a whole bunch of nonsense that you can have fun with. But Halo is just known for that. But Call of Duty, maybe you play the campaign once, and that's really it. Because there's no more challenges unless you want to get the achievements. Call of Duty Cold War did something similar, but when it comes to Halo, the amount of hours that are spent in campaign and how seamless it is with, like, they have one account, and your account, your Halo account, whatever account for whatever game you're playing on, that account is linked to both campaign and multiplayer. So whatever progression you did in campaign transfers over to the multiplayer, and also vice versa. So if you unlock a certain armor type, like in Halo Reach, if you unlock certain armor through multiplayer, you can put that into the campaign and it'll show up as you being Noble 6. Same thing with Halo 4 and Halo 5. It's just seamless. Although Halo 4 and Halo 5's campaigns are whatever, you can think what you want to think about. But with Halo Infinite, the campaign won't release at launch with co-op, and nor will Forge.
Now that's a nice smooth transition. Yeah, we could transition into that. Yeah. So Marcos, yeah. So what were you saying about earlier about Halo Infinite's launch and what it's not getting?
So I can enjoy that the fact that developers know that they didn't really do their best with 5, right? Obviously, it has its own good features. You know, it has its like the multiplayer is something that's a bit hit or miss for some people. I can enjoy for what it is. I can enjoy the campaign for what it does have that is good. But a lot of people really don't like it, and honestly, 343 understands where they really messed up. So they said, hey, we're going to go above and beyond in here, and we're going to tell you the truth. We're not ready to release co-op campaign on launch. And it sucks, to tell you the truth. The memories that people have had in the past where you and a friend come together in the same house and you guys just play split screen. Or you guys are playing you guys are playing online co-op campaign, but you are, in your own respective houses, and you're just having fun playing Halo campaign. That's why the campaign in Halo is so legendary. That's why, like, the emphasis on the campaign. Halo did it so well, and I just hope that more companies do this with their own campaigns, but it doesn't have it. And it sucks that it won't be at launch, but at least I can say, hey man, thanks for wanting to, what's the word? And wanting to work hard and actually delaying your game in order to
Again,
right? Because we already know it got delayed, what, like a year? It's because of, like, the backlash, much like how they did much like how the internet bullied the whole Sonic movie, because, like, Sonic looked like a freak, and guess what? The Sonic movie ended up looking really, really nice. So I'm glad the internet bullied a studio to make it look better, but the same thing happened with Halo Infinite. So I'm glad the game had a lot more time for development, and that's awesome.
But that's the thing, though. What I'm trying to understand, though, is that if the game has been delayed so many times, why is a basic feature like co-op campaign delayed? Like, I'm just trying to understand, like, what's going, because it's just me and I'm just being a cynical asshole, but I was watching a retrospective of the Fable franchise. You remember Fable, right, Marcos?
I loved Fable, but when I go back onto it, there's a lot of things that at the time I loved, but now I'm like, why is this here? And obviously,
well, we're talking about the first game, or we're talking
all
about
of them.
Okay. Well, my point I was trying to get at is that I was watching this retrospective of the first three Fable. Oh, there's
Fables. There's 3.
Yeah, there's and now we're getting a new one that's coming out at some point.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about, like, how much people really disliked Fable 3 when it launched. I didn't even like it, and it was, like, the only Fable game that I've played. But it was one of those games that, when you were a kid, you had, and,
right.
Even though you didn't like it, that was, like, the only game you had to play, so that's why you played it so many times, right? I was looking into, like, well, why did Fable 3 suck so badly? And the problem was that Microsoft was basically rushing the development team to kind of, like, compete with Sony's, exclusives, because Sony was coming out with a lot of exclusives that year, and Microsoft pushed them to be like, no, you got to make this thing come out faster. And the thing was that, Fable 1 and 2 had at least a couple years of development in between each other,
right.
But Fable 3 barely had 2 years.
Right.
And that's why I brought up earlier with the Call of Duty franchise that you really can't innovate that much with just a short development time span. So what Activision does is that they does what they know it works, And going back with Halo Infinite, that's what just so confuses me, is that, like, if the game already was supposed to come out at this time, why all of a sudden now, when it already got delayed, was the co-op campaign not going to be included? Was it not going to be included at the original release date?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what I'm trying to understand. At what time, what happened in between those two delays that all of a sudden they're like, oh, we can't make co-op campaign a thing now, at least for launch?
I don't know, but I'm so glad this conversation is being had, that they delayed not only the game once, but now they're delaying a feature that is critical to once it was released on Halo 3, Forge became
the standard.
Yeah, it became a standard, Forge. But it's so critical. The amount of countless hours that is put into the campaign with its replayability, the multiplayer, and its challenges, and the amount of freaking custom games that you can do through Forge. Halo is one of those games that, regardless of who is in charge, you have to meet such a high standard, because people will spend nonstop. People are still playing Halo Reach, Forge, with maps that came out basically a decade ago, because these game modes are so darn creative and so darn just, there's so much ingenuity that I understand why they would want to take their time and to release something. Cyberpunk. So the one thing I will say, though, is much like with Cyberpunk, right? I don't think I can truly get over that initial sour taste in when it came to its release, because the amount of love and time I spent on The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, because of how great the game was and how quickly the game was developed. It was developed, what, like 5 years? 4 years? Less? Some nonsense like that. That the game is a masterpiece without mods. And with mods, it becomes such a beautiful landscape, a beautiful piece of art that Cyberpunk just didn't have. And to the point where CD Projekt Red's like own, what do you call it? Its own, like, very what's the word? I wouldn't call it malicious, but they try to keep everything hush hush. Like when it's like, hey, you can't use.
I mean, you can't use your recorded footage.
You can't, yeah. So it was kind of like, but Halo Infinite, it sucks that they won't have this at the beginning, but it's not one of those things that I'm like, oh, no, I'm not gonna play or I'm not gonna buy it.
Yeah, I mean, like that multiplayer is still gonna be free, so who gives a shit?
Right. But it's not gonna be one of those things that I'm gonna like, oh, I'm not gonna buy this game now because I won't have Forge day one or I won't have co-op campaign day one. It's not one of those things that is a selling point to me if it's not there at day one. But if it wasn't going to have it at all, definitely I would have been like, I don't know about this game now, because like it's removing the core parts of Halo.
At what Halo game did they stop putting split screen?
They didn't.
Was it always there?
I think so, because
every Halo game had split screen.
I remember Halo 4 having split screen. I don't know about Halo 5. I know Halo 1 had. Oh, Halo Combat Evolved has it. Halo 2 definitely had it. Halo 3 definitely had it. Halo 4 Reach ODST definitely had it. I haven't played much of 5, let alone with someone else, so I don't know about that.
It says here, Halo 5 Guardians does not feature any offline multiplayer capabilities like split screen, cooperative campaign, and multiplayer modes. Yeah, so it was Halo 5 that did that. I remember, I don't know, I was just remembering Nakey Jakey mentioning something about that, you know, couch co-op games are kind of dead now, and he brought up the fact that, like, fucking Halo, the game where you always had co-op campaign, doesn't have it on Halo 5.
I even with co-op campaign, like couch co-op, right? I don't mind it if it doesn't exist, as long as online exists. But honestly, if it can have both, I'll be even happier. But but
he was referring more to couch co-op. But
yeah. So I just wish that when it comes to just Halo Infinite, I want to know what's the extent of this co-op. But if the internet already bullied the 343 once and they didn't want to receive a backlash already, imagine the backlash they would have had with Forge and co-op campaign, constantly crashing, constantly going through all this issues that Cyberpunk had to go through at the beginning, that or No Man's Sky had to have at the beginning, that made the company look bad, always constantly under bad light. I mean, Cyberpunk, sure, it's getting its updates, that's cool and all, but like it's okay.
It's too late. Yeah, it's too late.
Like,
the damage has already been done. Like,
right.
I don't know. Like, at best case scenario, they recover. Like, you know, that's if, like, years down the line when the game is being sold at a negative, maybe it could be a playable experience. But as of now, like, I don't know. And again, not even talking about, like, the technical issues. I'm talking about just, like, gameplay and stuff. I know that a lot of people kind of overlook, like, gameplay shortcomings because they just think, like, well, I can't even fucking play the game. But from what I've heard in the, you know, down the grapevine, from what I've heard, people have said that gameplay wise, Cyberpunk isn't that great, essentially. Like, all that shit they talk about, like, it's basically one of those RPGs that they hyped up a lot of shit you could do, but you really can't do it.
Right. It still looks great now. Obviously, if you have
the Todd Howard experience, essentially.
Right. It's one of those games as well that it's a benchmark for your rig setup on PC, even though it's not in the best state when it comes to its bugs and whatnot. But still, it's one of those games that can really push your rig.
It gives you the early access experience,
basically. So. But here's the thing, though. Like, Rainbow Six Siege at the beginning, obviously, it was horrid. It was just.
Oh, but it's still buggy now. People still report crashes on it.
Right, and even with No Man's Sky and all the failed promises on that game, much like with Cyberpunk, right? It had a whole bunch of failed promises that, honestly, I don't think they'll ever have. But unlike Cyberpunk, No Man's Sky really, really pushed through. And not only did it give everything that they promised, it gave even more. And not only that, they give it out for free. To the point where now, to like another smooth transition, No Man's Sky on Steam is now overwhelmingly positive, or at least to the point where like everyone can now agree in the public eyes, like, hey, yeah, No Man's Sky is an amazing game. To the point where like you would be ranked.
My favorite update for No Man's Sky, I'll never forget this, was that No Man's Sky, out of a free update, added a VR mode at no extra cost.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Bethesda wants to sell you Skyrim and Fallout 4 VR, and this is the thing that really gets me on my nerves. They want to sell you their VR version of the game,
right?
And doesn't even include the fucking DLC, and the DLC will never work.
Oh.
God, that bugs the shit out of me.
I was not aware of that DLC part.
You can't play any of the expansions of Fallout 4 on Fallout VR at all.
That's disgusting. That's ill,
Yeah,
dude.
and I just thought that's just crazy. They just said, "Here's a free VR mode. Here you go. You're just gonna get it now." I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
On
And you're not charging me money for it?
honestly, when it comes to DLCs as well, like I love Elite Dangerous, but the DLCs that came out with it is honestly a waste of money, and it's also crashy. Like it crashes the games and it's super buggy. So at least with some
Yeah.
DLCs.
So what you're saying?
But anyway,
Where's
yeah. So with No Man's Sky, like honestly, I'm so glad it's now speaking about standardizing things with Call of Duty 4, with Halo, and now with No Man's Sky. This is legit the completion of its redemption arc, and it's only going to get better from here on out. And I am
are they
glad.
still going to be doing updates for the game, or is it
I
like?
am 100% sure they are, because they haven't at least said anything about, hey, we're going to stop developing certain things because we're working on a new project. At least from what I'm aware of, I haven't actually been like up to date on like their Twitter.
Yeah, because you know, at every moment there's going to be a game where eventually like with Star Wars Battlefront 2, they said, "Hey, like this is it. This is the last update. You know, we're not adding any more content. Like this is it. This is the final."
Yeah, same thing with Terraria. They got their last
Yeah.
update, which honestly, like, wow, like everyone knew that the last update was coming for years, and the amount of stuff they added is just, it's wow, dude. It's honestly like, it's beautiful. It just Terraria is such a perfect game. Obviously, not a lot of people will get into it because of its style, and people are not used to it because they're so more used to Minecraft. But Terraria is such a great game, and honestly, I'd recommend anyone listening to this podcast to play it with someone who knows how to play the game, because it just makes the game so much more comfortable and so much more easier to understand. Because Terraria, much like Warframe, it doesn't hold your hand, but it gives you enough information where you are ready to explore the world, but you need to know how to find that information. And how they do it is the guide. You need to talk to the guide nonstop, saying, "Hey, can I build this? Can I build that?" And there's an in-game guide with a gentleman, an NPC that spawns in, telling you exactly what you need to do and how to do it, and he'll give you tips, and you just follow that advice. And I'm glad that it's one of those games that doesn't really hold your hand like that, but.
Anyways, going back to No Man's Sky,
Right.
you said that they.
But with No Man's Sky, honestly, I much like with Battlefront 2, they
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
well, it sets the standard of redemption. Because honestly, Battlefront 2 now is an amazing game to play, and I'll put money on that, because it's obviously from what it was in the beginning, a buggy mess, a pay to win mess,
Cash grab,
everything. So like, it's so I am so glad that these games overcame their issue that they had, and now the game is phenomenal. So if you don't have any games that you're interested in right now, give No Man's Sky a try, and at least play with some friends, because it makes the whole experience so much more smoother. The music's amazing, everything else is amazing, and honestly, the VR thing, if you don't think the VR is worth, I could tell you right now, once you play that game in VR, it's such a different experience, and it makes a lot.
I'm looking forward to that, actually. That's honestly what I'm looking forward to, playing No Man's Skies on VR.
I've never played it VR. I just know from Elite Dangerous VR mode that it makes things a whole lot smoother. That you can use your right joystick for something else, because you don't have to be
so
looking
immersive.
around. It is super immersive, and I love it. Listen, games like that when you're in your ship, and it's amazing. It's amazing when you
There's a terminology for it. I know what you're talking about. There's a great moment where George from Super Bunny Hot was testing out Star Wars Squadrons. It's such a shame I dropped that game. Maybe it's because it's such a process for me to set it up, because I play with the flight stick and everything.
It's also repetitive. Some people.
It's a little bit, yeah, but to be fair, the game was sold at $40, and I appreciate that it wasn't sold at $60.
True.
But it's all right. It was fun. It's definitely a game that you really have to gauge the skill gap, and that's probably why I have the hardest time. I just enjoyed playing the campaign and just flying around.
Right.
But definitely those who know what the fuck they're doing, they're just curb stomp the shit out of me. But basically, there's a terminology for VR where your brain and your body come to one, where it's like you perfectly. It's like fuck, I hate to use this example, but like an Evangelion where your sync ratio hits like over 100%, like that's essentially what it feels like, right? And there's a moment where like he properly sits himself in this position. I'm gonna try to draw it out for you guys, where he's sitting on his chair. He has his right joystick on the flight stick, and it's exactly like that in the fucking in the TIE Fighter, and his brain immediately goes monkey mode, and he's just like, "Oh, I'm in it, I'm a fucking pilot, I'm in it," and he's like completely immersed into the experience, and he's like doing like a fucking Wookiee call and everything. It was pretty fucking hilarious. If I could find the clip, I'll show you later, Marcos. But yeah, like that's what essentially what happened. It was when you finally bridge that gap of like reality and virtual reality, it's like
Right.
amazing.
So when it comes to racing games, obviously, compared to mouse and keyboard and controller, playing a racing game is so much easier on controller because you can make more minute movements. But if racing games isn't really your forte and it's not something that you would quite enjoy, like a game like Forza Horizon really does great when it comes to like changing the landscape of games, of racing games, because it puts you in an actual world. And if I were to,
Well, do you prefer like simulation racers or do you prefer like arcadey racers? I personally fall on arcade racers.
here's the thing though,
I'm more of like an arcadey guy.
I like both, but here's the thing though. Regardless of what I'm playing, if you don't understand racing games, that whole immersive feel that you were talking about becomes so much more like evident when you play a racing game with an actual steering wheel, pedals, and a gear shift. Especially if you're not used to manual, right? It makes manual when it comes to different kinds of shifting. You can do granny shifting, you can do all kinds of shifting that you can. It makes the game a whole lot more immersive. And Forza Horizon is one of those games where you're like, wow, the game feels actually different because you're much more immersed into it. You have this whole idea that like, wow, I am now really controlling this vehicle. I am used to driving around in my own car, for those who actually drive cars in their day-to-day lives, right? But when I'm playing this game, I can feel the pushback, I can feel the resistance, because the game just does that. Obviously, it won't be the full immersive experience, but you will get that experience nonetheless. Even with Gran Turismo, which is honestly, like some people say the Gran Turismo is just basically the PlayStation's attempt to Forza, but a lot of people still play it. But if you just play...
Oh, which came first?
I'm not aware.
I'm pretty sure Gran Turismo came out first because I know that started in like...
I'm pretty sure, but how the popularity of Forza just blew up, especially with Horizons, Gran Turismo is just trying to catch up. That's what I mean. So, Gran Turismo...
Yeah, the first game came out in 97.
Oh, I remember that. I remember the cover art for that too. The box cover. But
I like the fact that there was a Gran Turismo, a fucking prequel game.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, it's like a prequel to like one of the PS3 games. I mean, look it up. I remember it's Gran Turismo 5 Prologue.
Okay. So, much like with Gran Turismo, like these racing games that they just feel a whole lot better if you're not using mouse and keyboard, if you're not using controller, but you're actually using the steering wheel. Speaking about Gran Turismo, might as well start talking about it. Sony Showcase 2021.
Yes, I was about to say when we're going to get to that. Yes.
Yeah, it was announced. Gran Turismo 7 was announced. And honestly, unless you're really big into racing games, it's one of those games where you're like, yeah, I might get it if it's on sale. Who knows? Maybe it's a little racing game with my friends. But there are some games that didn't really hit too well. I think there were just 2 games that didn't. Or no, I think it was the only game, as well as a remaster, that really didn't.
Yeah, Gran Turismo 7, yeah.
Yeah, and Alan Wake Remastered that I'm like, maybe.
Hey, did you hear about what they're going to do with the remastered, though?
No.
They're getting rid of all the sponsors. No more fucking Energizer batteries.
Oh.
Yeah, it was one of those, like, if you ever played those games back in the day, you know, because HD game development was so expensive. And I was like, for example, I was playing Burnout. Oh my god, which one was the one I'm thinking? Burnout, the one that got a remastered. Burnout. Oh my god, I'm drawing a blank. I think it's Paradise City, right?
I think so.
Paradise, yeah, Burnout Paradise. I was playing the original, not the remastered, on Steam one day, and I'm driving around and I see the old ass fucking no. It was the old ass like NVIDIA logo, and at one point I was playing one of the early 2000s like Outrun games, and it was still using the fucking green ass AMD logo and shit for like billboards and stuff like that. And yeah, games had fucking sponsors. Hell, our boys at even fucking Fallout had that piece of shit Brotherhood of Steel game that got rid of Nuka-Cola for Balls energy drink.
Right.
God, what a fucking sellout, you know?
Well, that's
yeah,
good. That's good to hear at least. But when it comes to the showcase,
but is it part of the canon? That's what I want to know. Is very.
I don't know about you, but for like all the games that were announced in the showcase, honestly, Rainbow Six Extraction.
Well, wait. Well, let's actually go by order. Let's go by everything that was announced one by one. How about that?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's start with this. So, Star Wars: Knights of Old Republic remake. I've never played this game, Marcos. Have you ever played it?
Listen, if you don't get this game when it comes out, or anywhere like when
the remake or the original?
Yeah, hold on. Wait. If you don't get this game at all, I will question our friendship because this game, the Knights of the Republic is not only one of the classic masterpieces. If they remaster it, well, I'm talking about well.
Well, actually, there's a little bit of controversy I want to say. I haven't double checked it. I'm not so sure, but from what I've read, and granted, this is like the internet we're talking about. These people over exaggerate things all the time.
Right.
Apparently, the people that are making the remake aren't exactly the best people.
Oh no!
I don't know if you know who's making it, Marcos.
I'm not aware.
It's Aspyr. It's ASPY.
Oh, right. I remember. Yeah. Are they really that bad?
I don't know. From what I've read, apparently they're not looking forward to it. And I think that one of the directors apparently wasn't a big fan of this game. I think because she made a tweet or something making a joke about like... Basically, she said that one of her least favorite Star Wars games was Knights of the Old Republic. People found out that like, oh, she's making the remake. Is it going to be bad? I don't know. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So, and this remake is, I'm assuming, for PlayStation 5 only, right?
No. As far as I'm aware, I don't think so. But it's
no. It says it doesn't. Okay.
No?
It says that they're not sure.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. Like when the game first came out, it was one of those games that I never got a chance to play until like it was already like years old. And when I played it, I'm like,
is this the MOBA or the MMO or
it should be Let me see.
Which was the not Galaxies? I'm not talking about because wasn't there a Star Wars game that was like a MMO?
Yeah, but I don't think that was Knights of the Old Republic.
It was just called the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not. It's just the Old Republic. Yeah. I always get confused between the two of them. That's why I'd like wait. So they're remaking the MMO. I was like, no. It's Old Republic is the MMO. Knights of the Old Republic is the standalone game.
Okay. So, right. I guess continue on with the list, and then we can talk about each one individually.
Oh, wait, no. I mean, like, unless you have something else to say about this, because...
well, maybe a little bit more once we cover the whole list, and then we can just,
You sure you don't want to just, like, get it out of the way now?
Sure. So I will say that Knights of the Old Republic, much like the original Battlefront 2, is one of those games that really solidified Star Wars games on the map that, honestly, like, you'd be brain dead to know that, like, hey, like, if you don't think Star Wars can, like, anything with a Star Wars logo cannot have a good game, you're so incorrect. But obviously this is now in the Disney direction, because obviously this is something that, obviously, this is Disney property now, and whatever contract they may have with whoever's developing or remastering this game. So hopefully, I'm glad that this is now considered canon. Not to the Old Republic.
Well, remember, like, this is also the fact that not an EA game making it, as far as I'm aware of.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was a contract on this anyways, that was already set. Because...
Yeah, like, they only Disney and EA can make Star Wars games, but I think that contract already expired.
No, the EA exclusivity contract for Star Wars ends in 2023.
Oh, okay, so they could probably still be publishing this game.
So, you can develop a game right now, but the release date will be the day after the EA contract goes away. Like, once it's done, you're good.
Can you even announce it? That's more my question.
Yes, you can announce it.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure those who made I forgot what Sony game it was, but someone said, hey, we're developing a Star Wars game. Like, it's not illegal. As long as they publishing it. The only people who can publish and make the game is, like, EA until 2020.
Well, first of all, they have to get permission from Disney in order to like. Well, no, you can probably make the game, but you can't like say you're gonna release it unless you get Disney.
Yeah, because Disney has to go over the actual plot line because whatever is in those games is technically canon. So the event of Battlefront 2 is canon, which takes place post Episode 6. So
interesting.
Yeah. So right. So Old Republic. I hope, man. I hope none to the or. And a lot of people tend to call it
KOTOR.
KOTOR, yeah, KOTOR. KOTOR. I'm sorry. Yeah. So hopefully it's great. Obviously, we already saw other beloved Star Wars games that were remastered and it ended up horribly. You know, we're looking at the Star Wars Battlefront series, but hopefully it comes out great. So continue on with that list, bro. And then
All right, yeah. Sorry. There was Project Eve. I've seen a little bit of it. I don't really have much to say on it as far as I'm aware of. I mean, all I know is that somebody complained on Twitter that my women be too sexualized or something like that. But I thought that was kind of funny. It looks like a pretty decent action RPG. I'm just glad that Sony's finally trying to give an incentive to get a PlayStation 5 when it's possible. Next game they brought up was Tiny Tina's Wonderland. Yeah, Borderlands franchise. My thing is that I played Borderlands 1 for a short bit, dropped it, went on my merry way, played Borderlands 2 for a little bit, dropped it, went on my merry fucking way. Forspoken.
Square Enix game.
Square Enix game.
Yeah.
See, don't really have much an opinion on that either. I'm sorry we're kind of like brushing through this because honestly, though, none of it was like really catching my eye. Rainbow Six Extraction. So now, let me make sure I get this straight because I've been a little bit confused on this. Is this just like an update or like an event?
It's
or just like a game?
So Rainbow Six Siege, and if you don't mind, I can go back to the two games you just mentioned beforehand.
Oh, please, that's what I'm saying. If you have anything to say,
All right, so let me cover this. So the success of Rainbow Six, what was it?
Siege.
No.
Oh, you're talking about
the game mode in Siege where there's zombies and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that was really fun. Like that was a really fun fucking game mode.
100% agree. So I think they're just going on with this because it looks like they were already developing this game once that mode came out, and the hyper success of it looks like they are making a game based off it. So I'm so glad this exists because honestly, I might play the hell out of that game because I love anything that's dystopian, zombie-like, fighting undead, fighting weird creations,
Survival.
aliens. That's why I'm so interested in Scorn, which is a Microsoft exclusive. These weird, like Dead Space, even Dead Space, the exact same thing as well. So I'm looking forward to it. But it looks like it's its own separate game, much like how Miles Morales is like an in between game, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's its own technically full game. But Rainbow Six Siege looks like it's still going to be like the main, like, I guess, continuity, main canon, whatever word you want to throw in there. But yeah, it's going to be its own game. So I'm interested in that. So you mentioned Project Eve. Obviously, I get the whole sexualization comments about it because obviously the first few seconds of it you get booty shots, a whole bunch of booty shots, and I get that sentiment. But honestly, when it comes to JRPGs, when it came to this showcase, the two people that won are JRPGs and how great, amazing they and Insomniac. But we're gonna get to the Insomniac later. But this JRPG Project Eve looks so darn interesting. The combat, the details.
Yeah, I'm watching it right
now.
The
graphics, really cool. Everything looks amazing. And let's continue on with that Project Eve. One thing I love about the Souls and Born series as well as Sekiro is how fantastic and how how great it feels and how greatly designed the enemies are. A lot of the enemies you could get their reference from Berserk, which the chapter that came out recently after the passing of Miura got me basically choked up because it was a great chapter. But the Souls series, it takes a lot of inspiration from Berserk, and their monsters are greatly designed and all that stuff. In Project Eve, that game, all the enemies that were there, I love their designs. Especially to this little boss we were supposed to fight. I love that boss's suit. It was amazing. And I'm like, dude, this game looks so aesthetically pleasing. And it looks like the combat's going to be super fluid. Everything's going to look so nice. And I'm like, dude, this game makes me want to play a lot more JRPGs because of how smooth it is. So I'm looking
at the gameplay right now. This game looks really good. I like that they're using the power of the PlayStation 5 to give this girl like realistic boob physics.
Basically. So
because my monkey brain be activated at this point.
You get your neurons are activating because monkey.
Hell yeah, dude.
So I'm glad this game's coming out, and I hope it's one of those games that puts people into the JRPG mood because it's going to be one of those games you're like, wow, this game was developed really, really well. So I'm like, I wonder what other
Actually,
JRPGs.
JRPGs are really in the rise. You got Nier Automata. That new Tales of game is doing really good.
Mhm.
I was actually kind of surprised to hear how well that new Tales of game is doing. Because I was just asking a friend of mine who loves the Tales games, and I was asking him, like, hey, like, what's the general like response with these franchises? Like, oh, they're niche little RPGs. They come out. They usually are super low risk, but this new one is doing really well,
Right.
and the gameplay is pretty fun. But yeah, Project Eve looks really dope. I didn't like. Okay, as you can probably tell, I didn't watch the showcase. I forgot it was even happening.
Yeah.
I just like me. I'm just like, I'll just wait for the articles to come out and then I'll read it. So if it seems like I didn't care, it's probably because I didn't bother looking into it until
That
now.
sucks.
But yeah, as far as like Tiny Tina's Wonderland, like I know that that's a Borderlands property. So
Yeah, it was already
I'm not-
shown on the Xbox E3 thing, so there wasn't really much except maybe more of the art style and gameplay. But honestly, Tiny Tina seems interesting, honestly. But other than that, like, oh, dude, Project Eve looks so darn interesting. But Forspoken, honestly, lately Square Enix has been on a, when it comes to releasing recent games, it's been on a, it's been on a not so great track, because a lot of the Square Enix games that have been released recently have been subpar, and it sucks to say that.
like
I don't recall, actually. I know they exist, but it's not like Square Enix hasn't been doing the best recently with some of their games. I can't remember, dude. What? I have to double check on that.
I'm looking it up. Okay, all I know is Life is Strange True Colors just came out. The New World Ends with You did phenomenal, which makes me happy.
Yeah, right.
Near Replicant, that also is coming out. Ballad of Wonderland.
That's what it
Jesus,
was. That's what it was. Yes.
Yeah, that every time I tell people, it's like Ballad of Wonderland, love the art style, game's a piece of shit, and that always bothers the hell out of me. Well, there was Avengers.
No, Avengers. That's what there was. Avengers, and how bad it was. Just, ugh, it makes me sad. But this game, Forspoken, looks great. Obviously, we didn't see a lot compared to like Project Eve, but I can only be hopeful, because the game does look nice, and obviously it's on PlayStation 5, and how PlayStation 5 is running so far, it looks interesting. Which, honestly, on the side note, a little update that Kenny brought up when it came to the PS5 heat sinks, saying, hey, it looks like it runs hotter because they're using less material. It looks like the PS5s are actually running cooler, and they weigh less now because of the materials they're using. So that's just a little update on it as well. So the new PS5s are technically more efficient. So, but yeah, so the PS5 is going to be one of those consoles with its exclusives going to be like a must-have.
Well, that's actually what I was about to say, though. What are you going to do? Because you know me, I prefer buying my games on PC. That's just the platform
100%.
I choose. I have a PlayStation 5. It's still sitting there. What do you? So I just looked up, is Forspoken coming to PC, and it is.
Right.
Are you going to get this game on PC or PlayStation 5?
It's only single player, PC.
Only single player, only PC.
The reason why is because I have a lot more friends who play on PlayStation 5, ironically enough, than on PC, right? So that being said, if people,
And Project Eve is also coming to Xbox and PC.
yeah, so I'm definitely gonna get that game on PC. There's no way around that, because the game looks phenomenal. But when it comes to Forspoken, if it weren't for I might just get it on PC just because of it, just because of the superior hardware. So hopefully that works out great. But Forspoken, I hope it turns out to be one of those games where Square Enix really does well on it. But that's all I have to say on it.
Okay.
Extraction as well. So what else was on this
So
list?
yeah, what is Extraction going to be essentially? That's what I was asking earlier. Is it going to be like a game mode?
It's going to be its own game. It's
a whole game.
So it's their next entry following Rainbow Six. So it looks, because it's going to have the same characters. It's going to have the same characters, operators.
So it takes place in the Siege universe.
Yeah, the Rainbow Six. Yeah. It should, because
Okay, because the thing is that my immediate thought is like, okay, so is this part of the Tom Clancy universe where Splinter Cell exists, where X Defiant also exists, where
I'm not too sure on that. All I know is
like,
I recall seeing Rainbow Six Siege operators in it.
I mean, fuck it. They put Sam Fisher in Rainbow Six Siege. I think that pretty much makes it canon.
Okay. So
yeah, it is treated as its own game, essentially.
Yeah, it is its own game, but honestly, that game mode that came out in Siege obviously really took the world by storm. So
yeah, it was a big surprise, and it's like, hey, why don't we just make a whole fucking game about that?
Right.
Remember when Rainbow Six Siege originally was supposed to be Rainbow Six Patriots, and you were gonna press X to kiss your wife?
Oh, I'm not aware of these memes.
Oh, you never heard of Tom Clancy's Patriots?
No.
Long story short, it was gonna be like a single player forgettable game, and like the development team were making on it, and they just hated how generic it was, so they're like, "Fuck it, let's just make a tactical shooter," and then bam, it became a success. That's like, and I'm not joking. Like, there's a scene where you wake up in your little red-blooded American household. You're living the suburban life. You got 2 cars in the front, 2 trash cans. You live in the American life, and then your wife comes in, and then little button prompt that says "kiss wife," and then you kiss her, and then like there's like a later part in the gameplay trailer where like you have to shoot the threat ? Because he has a bomb attached to him. It's like the most generic shit ever. And yeah, the development team didn't like it, so they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna make a multiplayer shooter.
Oh, well,
that's why no one talks about Rainbow Six Tom Clancy's Patriots.
Okay, well, let's continue on.
And don't even get me started with X Defiant. So yeah, and that also adds into the canon. Like, okay, so if Siege is canon with Splinter Cell, and if Splinter Cell is also canon with the fucking Division, how the fuck does that work? Oh wait, it is fucking canon because X Defiant has a faction that is literally the Splinter Cell faction. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you try to follow lore. Anyways, speaking about other games getting announced, Alan Wake Remastered. Funny story, Alan Wake is one of the first games I ever bought on Steam, and I still haven't played it.
Oh boy, that's you must be fun at parties.
Yeah, I'm really, really fun at parties. Yeah, so Alan Wake is getting a remastered, and man, it's one of those remasters that's like, I don't think it was necessary, but honestly though, after looking at it, it looks really nice. Like, it looks really, especially with the cutscenes, like, it looks a lot better.
I've never played the game itself. I've just heard a lot of great things about it, so hopefully...
What the fuck? You talking shit about me and you never played it?
Yeah, but I don't own it, so...
Oh,
Checkmate.
okay. I'm sorry.
So yeah,
I'm sorry. I should donate to the funds and be like, here you go. Here's your Alan Wake fund.
Thanks, man. So I hope it's one of those remasters that really not only pay tribute to the original, but like really makes it really well,
it's
nice.
not a remake. It's literally just we're prettying up the game. Like, judging by like the footage I'm seeing right now, it's like the exact same
just
game.
a remastered.
It's just a remaster.
Okay.
They just made it look a little bit prettier. That's all.
Okay. What else we got?
But speaking about old games getting re-released, hey guys, Rockstar again. Guys who made Manhunt, Bully, Grand Theft Auto. Did we tell you about Grand Theft Auto 5? Hey, did you know about Grand Theft Auto 5? Guess what, kids? It's coming to the PlayStation 5 now. Yay!
The enhanced. No disrespect. You gotta say it's the enhanced version.
No, it's the fucking same game, dude.
No, it's enhanced. It's not the same.
Yeah, I bet it will. Yeah, I bet they really, hopefully they would enhance the better story in this fucking piece of shit.
Ugh.
Oh man, yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5, man. I don't know, man. I don't know what to point the finger at. I don't know, because it's like I thought Rockstar was finally getting their shit together and be like, hey, we can make other games than Grand Theft Auto when they finally made Red Dead Redemption 2. And I thought, like, man, that would be awesome, and it delivered, and it was such a great game, and told a phenomenal story, and it was so good. But then they thought about it. Maybe they realized, like, you know what, man, this game is good and all, but we can't exactly monetize fucking cowboys, so we have to keep
at least not as much as, flying motorcycles that have missiles and shit.
Oh, of course not. We need to sell shark cards because the sky's the fucking limit in Grand Theft Auto. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's like,
I love Red Dead 2 Online, dude. It's so great. I
don't even give a shit about Red Dead 2 Online. I'm just like happy that Rockstar made something other than Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like I don't know what to put the finger at. I don't know. It's development costs. If Rockstar just said, we could make something original or make something of an IP that people want. People have been wanting a bully game, a manhunt game, and like I don't know. Is it because they look at the option we can't really... Midnight Club, fucking table tennis, Max Payne.
Oh, Max Payne, dude, yes.
Like fuck it, just make another Max Payne game, but without Max Payne if you want to give me that excuse.
Make it his brother, like, Thomas Payne, dude.
Fuck it, I don't care. Just make it his sister's Maximus Payne. I don't fucking care. Maxie, fuck
Maxie
it. I don't
Payne.
Care, dude. Owie Payne, I don't fucking know. Or like his cousin, like Max Owl, I don't know.
Or his son.
Yeah.
Max Payne Jr.
Junior. I don't know. Like, it's just like I don't know. I think this just Rockstar just like, look, we could make other games, but this is making us money,
Of
and
course.
this is what we know works.
Of
So we're
course.
just gonna keep doing it, and people are gonna still make clickbaity ass fucking articles about GTA 6 coming out, and I'll say like it probably won't come out anytime soon.
The reason why Red Dead 2 Online isn't getting as much love as obviously as GTA 5 is because it's their cash cow. GTA 5 is the cash cow. That's really it.
Yeah, that's the thing. But it's like you put so much effort in Red Dead 2, and
Look,
man, it
much
just bothers the shit out
much
of
like
me.
in GTA 5, where they put emphasis on heists, Red Dead 2 campaign has the exact same emphasis: bank robberies, heist, nonstop, and it's not in the multiplayer. So I don't know. GTA 5 already had heists for some time, and Red Dead Online 2 won't have it.
I can't get into GTA Online because every time I come out, some dickwad with a fucking flying motorcycle
Oppressor.
just blows
Yeah,
me
the
up,
oppressor.
and it's like matchmaking is so fucking garbage and shit. I don't know, man. I play Rockstar games for the campaign, but fuck it, I'm so tired of playing this goddamn campaign. I've only played. Listen, I am so glad to say that I've only bought GTA 5 once because it was the version I wanted was on PC, and that's it.
Yeah.
Never bought it again. So
I know they
just
come
letting
up with
everybody know,
update-
if you buy this game again on PlayStation 5, you're part of the problem. This is why Rockstar is going to keep re-releasing this game.
Listen, Rockstar already knows it works because it worked for Skyrim. So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
All right, anyways, let's get off the high horse on Grand Theft Auto. Ghostwire Tokyo,
which honestly, when I saw this game, let me say this correctly.
I like the idea of it. Hey, man, Japanese fucking urban legends and shit is fascinating with me. I love any form of media that ever talks about Japanese, like, urban legends. I think that shit is fascinating to me.
And
So,
one thing I will say though, that the enemy designs amazing, the art style amazing, and that's why I'm like, dude, these JRPG like games are going to, or Japanese even styled games, are going to be so darn popular. Wait, I think Project Eve is Korean. Well, anyways,
Yeah, it looks Korean.
it's JRPG like. So these art styles in Ghostwire Tokyo looked phenomenal, dude. Like, you're like, wow, this looks
Yeah, this
super
game looks hella dope.
pretty to the eyes. That I'm like, honestly, if the gameplay was like subpar, but the game looked beautiful, I would still play it because it's just wow. So I'm looking forward to that game just because of like what its potential could be. I'm looking forward for like reporting it here on our podcast to see what the future holds for these games, for Project Eve.
So it's just going to be a day one buy for you?
No. I'm gonna give it some time, obviously, but
Because you guys know me. I'm rarely the type of dude to buy a game at launch.
right. But if everything's looking positive for Eve, I might as well just get it day one because it looks like one of those games that's all like.
Is it going to be a $60 game, or is it like...
I don't know.
We don't know the price.
I honestly don't know. But much like with Black Myth Wukong, that game I'm 100% gonna get it day one because the gameplay trailer was freaking phenomenal. And Project Eve is one of those games that if the gameplay trailer looked this smooth and they keep giving us the same gameplay trailer over and over again, like with new content and stuff, and it still looks buttery smooth and just silky, just smooth, I'm gonna get a day one. Because
Okay.
if anything, I could just keep it to the side and then let the updates come out and then just keep playing it. But Ghostwire Tokyo looks very, very interesting, looks very innovative, looks very new, refreshing even. So I'm looking forward to what this game holds. Only because this is not me not being a weeb, but this is more so like this game looks actually interesting.
Yeah, it looks fun. Yeah, who gives a shit, right?
Right.
All right, so let's keep going because we're actually running short on time here. New Guardians of the Galaxy content.
Interesting. It looks
I'm gonna
okay.
go to sleep.
Looks okay.
Wake up to that later. Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt.
That looked
funny
interesting.
enough.
That did look interesting.
Funny enough, I actually have a physical copy of the original Vampire Masquerade game. I bought it at a Goodwill for like $1, and I still have yet to touch it. But I've always been curious about giving this franchise a shot. I think I still remembered I was watching. It's Merrick, right, from Yu-Gi-Oh, the guy with the
Winged Dragon of
with
Raw
the-
is Merrick.
Dragon of Raw, yeah, and the one who got like his ass beat because he was supposed to protect the Pharaoh's tomb or something.
Something like that. Yeah. I know Merrick. Yeah.
I was watching the guy who does his voice for the Yu-Gi-Oh Bridge series, and he was doing like a playthrough of the Vampire Masquerade game, and all I understood is you had sex with a vampire. She turned you into a vampire, and the first like couple hours of the game is just them telling you like, well, you're a vampire now. You got to drink blood. This is what you got to do. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And plus, with Merrick's phenomenal commentary and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, next game now they talked about was Deathloop. Now the game is already out yet. I'm just only gonna get this out of the way right now.
Wait, it's already out yet, or it is already
No,
out?
it's already out.
Yeah, okay.
It's already out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because it got announced, and then by that point, like the game was coming out later this week. As you can tell, we're a little bit late on talking about this news and stuff. Yeah, Deathloop is out. As we know, it's made by the same people who made Dishonored, and me and Marcos have been very back and forth with the whole design philosophy of Dishonored, as far as my opinion take on the game. I've finished the first Dishonored game. I've yet to touch the second
Here's
one.
the thing, though, just to throw it in there. Dishonored is a completely different game on PC because of how much more fluid you can be.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, Dishonored, when I was looking at the trailer, I'm like, this game looks a lot like Dishonored. And then they did certain moves, like certain powers. I'm like, wait, this looks a lot like Dishonored. And then the last thing that convinced me to say, hey, yeah, this is definitely a Dishonored game, is when they did the where you can link 3 people at once, and then whatever
And you kill one. And
yeah, that's a Dishonored 2 thing. And I'm like, wait, this is Dishonored. And at the very end it says ZeniMax, and I'm like, okay, there you go, there you go. So that's.
Oh, you mean Arcane?
Yeah, it says ZeniMax and Arcane. I'm like, yeah, this is is a Dishonored game.
Yeah, so Deathloop to me looks like it's going to be just like what I've always said about Dishonored, and that's why I've always had a very mixed opinion on the franchise. In my opinion, the way I could describe Dishonored is Dishonored tells you to play like a stealth game, but they gave you powers to be a psychopath.
Right.
Deathloop just said, fuck the stealth.
You can still be stealthy, but
you could.
Yeah.
But it's not like the main selling point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I will say though, my Dark Souls Bloodborne, I guess, sweet spot got happy because this is a story about 2 assassins, and you play as one of them, and then there's this other female assassin that gets in your way. Well, other people can invade your world and your gameplay as that other assassin, and I'm like, wait, a Dishonored-like game with invasions? No way. And I got so excited for that. I'm like, dude, I can't wait to grief. I can't wait to freaking.
So, are you gonna get the game yet, or you're waiting for a little bit later?
It's still. There's been like mixed. It was mostly positive, but it's still mixed because it's still somewhat buggy. But I'm definitely gonna get it soon on PC because it just looks great. So.
Well, my thing is with the PC version. Unfortunately, though, the PC version of Deathloop does have Denuvo, which is a very obnoxious form of DRM that a lot of games had. Funny enough, the first game I ever experienced with Denuvo that I haven't dealt with any issues, but I remember being concerned about was that Sonic Mania of all games had Denuvo. I think a lot of people forgot about that at launch the game had Denuvo, and I remember being worried because I was going to play Sonic Mania, like I already had it downloaded on my computer to play it offline because there was a hurricane going to hit us, and I thought like, oh shit, what if like I can't connect to the servers and the game won't let me play because it's connected to Denuvo and blah 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 blah. Thankfully I didn't have any issues with it, but I remember there was like an article that came out where people found out that if you play a pirated copy of Resident Evil 8 that had, like the legit copy has Denuvo on it, your performance was like tripled essentially. So yeah,
ironic.
Ironic, yeah. And that's what I tell these companies, man, is like, look, you could put your DRM if you want to prevent it and get your sales numbers and stuff, but listen, if your game runs worse if I buy it legitimately than I pirated it, hey man, you got to fix something because there's something wrong with your game at that point, right? So yeah, and I've only seen one review of the game. Well, that's a lie. I've seen 2. I've seen one of Charlie or Moist Critical and G-Man, which is the one I saw his review. And he basically said he played it both on PlayStation 5 and PC, and he had to review the game on PS5 because he was getting like really awkward frame rate drops, and he probably associated with that with Denuvo doing it. So that kind of makes it difficult. I wasn't going to buy the game at launch anyways. I was interested in it, but I wasn't going to go, ham on it. So I'm going to wait it out. I'm going to wait until it goes on sale and see where we go from there. And then going from then, let's just keep going down from the list. Radiohead is finally releasing a video game. About time.
Radiohead, that is which one?
The band.
Which game?
Kid A, Minicia.
Kid Amnesia?
No, it's not. Is that what it is? Amnesia?
Well, yeah, it's separated, but it's Amnesia, so people...
Oh, it's just pronounced Amnesia. Okay, yeah, it's Radiohead Experience, and you know what? I like me some Radiohead.
Well,
so,
this is definitely a game that Kenny would have been happy to announce because it's with his disdain and how he views... how he abhors Fortnite. Finally, Epic is making another game. Kind of. kind of, not really. It's not being developed. I think it's being
with
published.
Radiohead.
Yeah, but I think it's being published by Epic Games. But at least Epic is having their hand in it. So, like, at least Kenny would have been somewhat happy to announce this title, but I'm not aware about this game as in general. Like,
I've heard of something similar like it. I didn't think of it much of the time. All I heard was like Radiohead is working on something, and I thought, oh, okay, cool, neat.
oh, nice.
But yeah, let's keep going. Let's see, Tchia
Or Chia, I think it's called. But
Chia, yeah.
honestly, this looks like one of those most wholesome games I've ever seen, and I'm really loving the vibes that this game comes out with. Like, it
I
looks.
like the little girl that jumps around the corner and fucking possesses a fucking pigeon. That's funny.
It looks.
Jumps out of the pigeon.
It looks like a very interesting game, and I can't wait to actually like get my hands on it.
Looks cute. This is interesting. So yeah, this has been leaked before and it's been conversed a lot, and I think Sony is finally looking into the PC market. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection is coming to PlayStation 5 and PC. This is interesting.
Very.
Yeah, so granted, we're not getting the Uncharted Drake collection. I think that would have been kind of neat. It is just the Uncharted 4 and the standalone DLC. I thought that's kind of neat. I've only played Uncharted 1 and 2. I actually do have Uncharted 4 on PlayStation 4, which now I can play it on my PlayStation 5, and the Drake collection. But yeah, that's kind of neat. I think that's kind of cool that Sony is dipping their toes into the PC platform. And unless you have something to say about Uncharted,
I've never
Marcos,
played it, but a lot of people tell me, like, honestly, you can skip the first 3 games and you can just play the last one, and you'll get like.
Yeah, that's true. You don't really need to play the first 3 games. You don't have to.
It's not like with at least
fun.
with The Witcher or it's Skyrim, where it has a lot, and I mean a lot of books and things telling you about the previous 2 games. This Uncharted game will give you like brief references of the last 3 games, but it's not like super critical.
Necessity.
Yeah, it's not like really critical. Like you have to know this and that.
The best way I could describe the Uncharted franchise is Tomb Raider, but a little bit less puzzles and a little bit more action packed and a little bit more cinematics. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I snored earlier about the Guardians of the Galaxy game because honestly, though, I am not looking forward to it. But the same guys Insomniac, who made the Spider-Man games, which is Spider-Man PS4 and Miles Morales, is making a Wolverine game.
And listen, the only thing I have to say about that is the game better be rated M. That's all I have to say. If it's rated M, I'm just saying the potentials they can do with Wolverine. Because listen, in the comics, Wolverine has never been a guy who, like Peter, just knocks out enemies. He's never been that, and I'm pretty sure his anger comes from his height and because that's why the stereotypical Canadian niceness isn't there with Wolverine, because obviously he was experimented on, tortured, and then also he's 5'3". And
he's also 100 years old.
Yeah, canonically speaking, he's been in every single like big war that's like the North Americans have ever been in. So yeah, he is a very interesting Marvel character. So listen. It better be.
I guess you could go with like the Punisher game that got like banned in a couple countries. Like that game goes fucking brutal.
Or Hatred that got banned and.
Yeah, but with Punisher, that's a Marvel property. That's like a bigger deal that game went fucking.
That's true. I mean, Deadpool's also a Marvel property, and that had a rated M game, which honestly was pretty funny, and I loved. Like, I'd never played it.
That was more play for laughs, But like Punisher is like you actively torture people during interrogations.
Right. But I mean, that's the Punisher, which honestly I find it ironic that people have the Punisher logo with the black American flag on it with a thin blue line on it, saying like they support police, right? And I'm like, you guys haven't read the Punisher comics then, because you already know he's like the most anti-cop being ever. Like,
because he believes taking the law in his own hands, essentially. He's like, fuck that, fuck the police, fuck the way everything else. I'm just gonna do.
Especially how the law has treated him, specifically police.
Yeah,
like he's like
essentially, he's like, I'm gonna be the law. Essentially, I'm gonna take everything in my hands.
He is very anti-police. So, anyways, like I wouldn't.
Well, not to get too political here.
Right, he isn't. Okay, so Wolverine, I wouldn't mind it if it's a rated T for teen game, much like with Spider-Man Insomniac. Because
let them slide a fuck here and there. They could get away with that.
But here's the thing, though. Rated M, though.
The rated T games had the PG-13 rule, where it's like you only can say one naughty word only once.
Right, but
because I know with Venom it was pussy. I know that.
Right. So here's the thing, though. Like, I feel like this game could have so much more potential if it was rated M. How would it affect sales? I don't know. But then again, Disney recently bought, what was it, the 21st Century Fox. So there isn't much right now that has to do with movies that is in their whole Marvel Cinematic Universe canon. So honestly, like, if this was a rated M game, I don't think it would affect sales of anything too much. But if it isn't, honestly, it's going to be Insomniac. Given how great they did with Miles Morales, how they did amazingly well with the original Spider-Man game, like, I can only hope for, like, even if it's a rated T game, that this game is going to be phenomenal. And we don't know anything about it. All we know is that it does exist. It's in the works. And hopefully it's going to be one of those games where that we could talk for years and years to come, because it's one of those games that's, like, super perfect, because Insomniac really did put a lot of
You,
into it.
you were saying earlier about, like, if Disney, because Disney bought 21st Century Fox, and, like, Fox also made the Aliens movies. I was just thinking, like, would they ever put the Alien franchise on Disney Plus?
Oh, dude, imagine. Oh, that'd be so nice.
That would be really funny. But wait, hold up. Alien sequels to get remastered for 4K Blu-ray and Disney Plus release. But I want the original. I want that shit pants scary original one. Oh well. Anyways,
But I can only wish that it's a rated M game and see. But I'm still.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. We briefly mentioned Gran Turismo earlier in the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't know. You really have much to say. Cars go vroom. Realistic, But since we're going with Insomniac, we mentioned Marvel earlier. Yes, Spider-Man 2 is announced. It's not coming out till 2023. So if you still haven't bought a PlayStation 5 yet and you only want to play for Demon Souls, I would say this to myself, like I said to myself a couple months ago when I finally got a PlayStation 5. Wait, there's more games that need to come out for you before you make that $600 purchase. And God forbid, if I catch one of you guys fucking paying a scalper,
right,
I'm going to be really fucking pissed. Right. So yeah, Spider-Man 2 was announced. And man, I don't know if you know about this, Marcos, but listen, I don't know if you read comics, but you know Kraven the Hunter?
Sounds familiar.
Well, Kraven the Hunter is like a really cool character in the Marvel comics, right? But basically, he's like this dude.
Oh yeah,
like, I want to.
Yeah. Kraven, I remember it. Yes.
Yeah.
Wait.
So I love Kraven the Hunter.
No.
I think his whole character is fascinating. So someone brought up a good point, because I didn't see the trailer up to that point, but everybody was talking about, like, hey, I think Kraven the Hunter is narrating the trailer, and I was like, really? And then I listened to it, and exactly how I would picture Kraven the Hunter sounds like the guy who's narrating the trailer, because he's mentioning hunting and trying to get the perfect target and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so fucking cool. And I don't know if you read comics, Marcos, but have you ever read Kraven's Last Hunt?
No, I've never read any of the Kraven stuff, but I know who he is.
Well, but do you know the storyline?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so spoiler alert for Kraven's Last Hunt if you guys haven't read it yet, so I'm just going to quickly spoil it. Basically, the idea is that Kraven wants to find, like, the ultimate prey, essentially. And to him, he chose Spider-Man. Spider-Man was, like, the one guy he wants to prove, like, this is it. This is my ultimate challenge to achieve. So him and Spider-Man get into a fight, and then later the fight ends abruptly. They don't know what happens yet. It cuts later to Spider-Man fighting another guy, and then later he beats the living shit out of him, and then later Spider-Man takes off his mask, and it's Kraven. Kraven's wearing his outfit. And what Kraven did was that he tranquilized Spider-Man and buried him alive, and then Spider-Man has to, like, crawl out of the fucking of the grave site, and then he's fighting Kraven. And the thing was, a fun fact, in this comic, in the storyline, Spider-Man's wearing the black suit. It's not the symbiote. He just, for some reason, was just wearing the black suit that Black Cat gave him that looks like the symbiote suit. He basically tells him that, hey, Kraven, fuck you, you can't do that. And what Kraven did earlier is that he fought a guy called Vermin, which is like this weird man-bat-looking creature in the sewers that Spider-Man couldn't beat him. He had to get Captain America to help him to beat this guy before. And then Kraven beat the shit out of him to prove a point that not only that he's stronger than Spider-Man, but he's also stronger than Spider-Man's opponent, essentially, right? And so Kraven takes him downstairs, and he's like, all right, I'll tell you what, you have to save this guy's life, but you have to beat him in a fight first, and then later you could let him go. And so Spider-Man's all right, fuck it, I'm going to fight him, but he doesn't kill him. And so Kraven lets Vermin go, and he says, all right, you proved your point, you beat him, therefore, because you beat him means that you're better than me now. And so he lets Spider-Man go on his own. He's like, you know what, dude, you could fight me and beat me up and arrest me, or you could go after Vermin, which is way more difficult. So Spider-Man chooses to go fight after Vermin, then he beats him and gets him arrested. Kraven, now depressed because now he's hit his moment, he's hit his stride. He goes to his fucking house, loads a shotgun in it, and he blows the trigger on his head. because he feels complete now. He's like, that's it. I got nothing else to do now. It basically boils down to who you really are inside, right? And so ever since I read that story, I was like, oh my god, Kraven the Hunter sounds like such a cool fucking character. I would love to see him more in more Marvel properties. And so yeah, if Kraven the Hunter is already in this fucking game, and I already got my favorite character in all of Marvel, which is Venom, dude, I am hyped as shit for this new game.
Honestly, it could just be the voice actor for Venom, because it looks like it might have been Venom speaking. Saying that,
but I don't know.
Saying all the thing about the hunting, people giving him a challenge, because honestly, in whatever continuity you want Venom to be in, Venom has always been one of those people that, hey, like, they want combat, they want to fight. Yeah. So it could be just that. So hopefully your whole rant, not rant, but your whole like wish about having Kraven in there isn't for null, and it's just how Venom's gonna sound in this game. But I will say though that I'm the first game, Sinister Six, right, and how heartfelt and how connected Spider-Man was with the Sinister Six, with two specific characters. I'm not going to spoil it, just in case anyone who's listening hasn't played the game completely. So specifically with two characters of the Sinister Six in that game, it just made the game a whole lot more touching. So hopefully with this new game, it's going to set a next precedent for the third game, saying like, hey, what are we going to do with the villain in the third game, and how is it going to work? Because to tell you the truth, if it goes from Sinister Six to Venom, I can only wonder what's going to happen for the third game. Spider-Man has always been.
Do you think they should like go all out with the symbiotes though? I wouldn't mind like Carnage making an appearance, but I don't think like the entire symbiote family would be like. I mean, don't get me wrong. Listen, my favorite thing about Spider-Man's always been the symbiotes. It's always been my favorite thing about the symbiotes. I've always liked the idea of them. I always liked their powers. I always liked the idea that you always have to, fight like who takes control of the host, blah, 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 blah. And now that we're actually getting a Carnage movie coming out in October, actually. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, that's a good point to say. I was just thinking about like earlier, like, Eddie Brock was not shown in Spider-Man PS4, but he is mentioned in one of the memorabilia items you could get when Peter leaves the Daily Planet or Bugle. He gets a card for everyone signing, like, good luck, Pete, you have a good one. One in the bottom note says, good luck out there, kid, and right there it says signed Eddie Brock. Yeah. So it makes it interesting because it's like, oh, so that Eddie is not going to be Venom. We already know who. If you beat the game, spoiler alert for those who don't know. Right now, I'm going to spoil Spider-Man PS4, so don't say I didn't warn you. At the end of Spider-Man PS4, we found out that Harry Osborn, which throughout the entire game, like Peter and Mary Jane have been trying to reach him, but he never answers the phone.
They were saying, hey, he's in Europe doing a business trip or whatever, some sort of trip.
Right. But then we find out later that Osborn was keeping Harry like in a suspension tube because he has the same like degenerative disease that his mother has, and it's very clearly hinted that he's going to become a symbiote to keep himself alive.
But if you want an idea of how it is, just look at the Amazing Spider-Man 2 movie. If you want to have an idea of like what Harry's
wasn't that one really bad though?
I liked it. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion on it, so I mean, to each their own.
I gotta watch like 7 Spider-Man movies right now for the new one that's coming out.
You kind of don't have to.
Your point.
You just gotta watch the 2 that came before, and that's it.
Oh, okay. All right. So what were you saying?
But when it comes to at least this Spider-Man game, I can only hope for for it to have more of the same, and the first game, and obviously to build on more. We already saw that the Peter Parker is going to have his robotic suit, and that's very interesting. I hope.
Which is considered canon, mind you, because that's interesting because, like, of course you could dress up as, like, all these different Spider-Man outfits and shit, but as far as, like, the game knows, you only had, like, the original outfit as, like, your official superpower, Because you could get, like, extended arms and, like, the Iron Man spider suit. Yeah. But, again, it's treated more like in a cosmetic sort of sense, In this one, it looks like there's going to be an explanation like, oh, hey, Peter, you suddenly have fucking... oh, hey, Peter, you suddenly have extendo arms.
Mm-hmm. So I think for the most part it's going to be obviously it's Insomniac. Hopefully they meet our expectations, if not surpass them. But honestly, looking forward to
wait for 2023.
Mm-hmm. So what else is next on this list?
The last game to really mention is that Papa God of War is another sequel along the way, and I still have to play the original.
Okay,
I still have yet to.
So I love the trailer. I completely love the trailer. The new area that we explored, everything. The I forget what what they called it in the
Norse mythology.
yeah, Femwinter, where after the death of
Mm-hmm.
Balder, where it becomes, I think, many, like, it becomes like a nigh infinite winter, Femwinter. So it is what it is, but it is the beginnings of Ragnarok. That, hey, it's gonna be a big ass, like, long winter. Then the wolves are gonna catch the sun and the moon because Odin told them to do so, and then that really starts Ragnarok. So
And Ragnarok is basically Norse mythology's Judgment Day, right?
death of everything.
Death of everything. Okay.
Basically, if I had to say it,
The Rapture. There you go. That's what I was looking for. The Rapture.
it's not the Rapture. It's something different, because it's
It's different.
I wouldn't call it the Rapture. It's not right to say it's the Rapture, but at the end of the day, it is a game. It is an event where it is the end of the gods and it's the end of the world. It's literally just end of everything.
Does that include the end of mankind, or is it just
As far as I'm aware, also yes.
Because I heard something similar like that. That in Norse mythology, there's a thing where like gods don't exist, but humanity just keeps going.
I don't know.
I don't know much about Norse mythology. You got to let me know. I'm not gonna act like I know.
Right. So all I know is that Ragnarok is just the ending of all, and then I think Marvel has their own definitions of Ragnarok, where it's basically like like where it ends everything, but then everything gets reborn, and it's the exact same process over and over and over again. Some Marvel comics went into it where they break the loop, they break the constant loop of Ragnarok, and things turned out not so good, yada yada yada. But yeah, so I love the trailer. It looks like we get to see new worlds, because in the what do you call it? In the first game, we get to see Midgard, which is the area where you mostly transverse, which in this new game is going to be affected by Femwinter, which is the internal winter. We get to Helheim, which ironically enough is also cold, and we went to the
Shit's cold.
realm of the fairies. We also went to, I think it's called Elheim, and then we also got to go to one more realm, Jotunheim, which is the realm of the giants, which is basically the whole point of the game, where you needed to go to. And I believe those were the only realms that we were allowed to go to. Oh no, there was one more realm, two more realms. One that was a volcanic like realm, and one that was a misty realm that they didn't have that much story, except they had challenges. But in this new trailer, we get to see that we went to the realm of the dwarves because of how it was designed, how much of the Yggdrasil tree was part of it, the infinite tree that was imbued with it. So we probably get to see like why the dwarves in the God of War 4 game was able to like transverse everywhere. So it's interesting that this is the new spot we're gonna see. One thing I really didn't like is at the ending. So if you saw the trailer, the whole trailer was talking about, hey, we need to find Tyr, because we know that Tyr existed. The whole point of Tyr,
I like that band.
Wow. So the whole point of Tyr in God of War 4 was to show how much of a piece of crap God of War Kratos was, because Tyr said, hey, like, I'm the God of War, and I know that being the God of War means preventing wars as well, because war sucks. And Odin feared that the God of War was going to be stronger than him, because in the God of War 1 through 3, that was true. The God of War was the strongest god because Kratos mollywhopped everyone. So Tyr,
Give him the Billy Bop.
right? So Odin, fearing Tyr's power because he was reaching different worlds, different realms. He even went to the Greek world, because we know that Kratos' infamous name, the Ghost of Sparta, even reached the Norse realm, because Mimir knows his name and Tyr knows his name. He was getting knowledge from all over the realms and all the different dimensions and different worlds. So to the point where the giants gifted him the gift of sight that the giants normally had, and then obviously Thor killed all the giants along with Odin's help. And so one thing I didn't like about the trailer, we get to see Tyr, like actually Tyr, and he's just tied up, and I didn't like that, because like that would have been like an amazing thing to see as a surprise, your first playthrough. But I guess we already know how Tyr looks and yada yada yada. And then towards the end, I kind of liked that we got to see the last giant, the last alive giant, full-blooded giant, which was the dark-skinned girl that says, oh, like you haven't seen anything yet or whatever, or I forgot what she said, but she is a giant. So I wonder what that means with her.
Little baby giant gonna grow eventually to big giant.
So I wonder what that means with Atreus, what he has to say about that. But honestly, the trailer looked phenomenal. Gameplay looked amazing.
It looks kind of cool.
It brought back a lot of combat from the original God of War's games, the original trilogy, where you with your blades of chaos, you launch them at the enemy, and then you'll pull yourself into the enemy and tackle them. That was a very good stapled attack, that was in the original trilogy, and I'm glad they're bringing that back. The combat looks amazing. Looks like you can upgrade your shield, which was one things that a lot of people were wondering. Hey, you have your shield. The shield is sort of unexplained why it exists. Your axe is explained why you have the axe. It was your wife's axe, but the shield is just there. It's just a shield. So it looks like the shield is upgradable. Hopefully we can get a backstory to that shield. But honestly, the game looks phenomenal. It looks like we might be fighting a fairy of sorts. And if you haven't played the God of War 4, I won't get into it. But it looks very interesting. And I can't wait to actually get into it. Because,
yeah, it looks really
God
good.
of War
and
4.
Judging by the fact there hasn't been a release date for this, I think we're gonna have a lot of time for it. So I definitely, it looks interesting. But yeah,
and also a different director. Corey's not the director for this game, so I wonder how that's gonna go.
Also, actually, that's a good point. And now you brought up the director. They said that this is gonna be the last game as far as like the Norse saga, because they don't want to make a third game. Essentially, they said that like, look, this is the conclusion. We do not want to basically make 3 games and then have to make people wait over.
That sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. I'd rather the development team be upfront and be like, look, we have our story. We're going to tell you the story, and we don't want to, like, string you guys along for 15 years to tell you the story. We're just going to make these 2 games, and that's it. The reason they said was they don't want people to wait over 15 years to finish a story. Kingdom Hearts. And that's the basically
finish
the gist of it.
Kratos' story?
From what I've read, it's that they want to end the Norse saga with the second game.
I guess. I guess.
I don't know what they could go from there, but I'm just saying.
I guess when they say Ragnarok, it is a ending. So I guess, but that sucks because honestly, they could have done a lot more. But oh well, that's not up to me to decide. Obviously, but I just hope it's gonna be one of those games that you can easily put 300 hours in. Because of how much.
Well, could you do that in the original? On the game before?
If you want 100% it, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, you could say that about most games, really.
Kind of. I mean, I basically almost 100% of The Witcher 3, and it was 250 hours, so yeah, I guess. But
like, The Witcher is more of like an RPG. Like, that's like more open-ended and things like that. But like, a God of War, I could be wrong, I don't know. But like, generally speaking, God of War games are kind of a straight line, you know?
Right. Very. I mean, well, obviously,
there's challenges. I'm well aware of that, but I mean, like, generally speaking, the progression of the game is very
linear,
straightforward.
Yeah, you're right on that. But yeah, that was the last game that was announced, and honestly, looking forward to it. Obviously, kind of sucks that Corey's not working on it, and it's also the last game. So, well, all we know is from God of War 4. I won't spoil it because Daniel hasn't played the game, but there were some hieroglyphics or paintings that were shown in the last at the ending of the last game that shows what exactly happens, and it was a prophecy. It was foretold. Everything that happened in God of War 4 was already foretold by the giants, because the giants had the vision of sight, like foresight as well. I think it was Kratos' wife that had the.
Wait, holy shit! Is that where the Majora's Mask giants came from?
Sure.
Oh my god, I knew it.
So, for those who know, God of War 4 foretold of certain events that is bound to happen, and I wonder if it's going to happen with this game, because obviously, at the beginning of the trailer, we saw Atreus walking in carrying a deer, and in Norse mythology, Loki is a being that was meant to have had like deer horns, so it was a little nudge to the Norse mythology of like Loki being Loki. So we're gonna see what it means to be Loki, because even Atreus says I need to be out there knowing what it means to be Loki and whatnot. So obviously Loki is very critical to the whole Ragnarok event. So we're gonna see what happens with that.
Okay. All right then. Well, we're gonna go leave it at that. Hopefully, all I can say is that I wish they would finally release that Tier Black Sabbath album on Spotify. I've been
Nice.
waiting for a little bit of that. They need to get on that point. But anyways, yeah, God of War Ragnarok looks hella dope. Hopefully, it will incentivize me to get around to actually fucking playing
Please do.
the game. I already have
Please
it
do.
twice already because I bought it, and I also have it on the PlayStation Plus collection. But, judging by the fact that a lot of these games are not coming out until 2023 at best, or maybe 2022 at worst 2023 and at best 2022, not really going to, I still got a lot to play, a lot of my backlog, but at least there's something to play. But, half of these games are already coming out on PC, so my PlayStation 5 is still a dedicated Demon Souls machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yippee-ki-yay. But, with that, I think we're just going to go ahead and wrap. Guys, Marcus, do you have any closing thoughts you want to say before you go? Because we're about to hit the 1 hour and 30 minute.
Obviously, this is. I'm glad Sony didn't participate at E3. Obviously, this is exactly how you should do an
E3 is so overdone. Like, we should just stop doing.
No, but like obviously, this is something that I'm so glad that Sony wasn't part of it. This is honestly like nothing but great stuff. Obviously, Xbox, Nintendo had their own little thing in there as well. But I'm glad Sony wasn't part of it, and they really blew us out of the water with things to come.
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely true. So with that, guys, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap. Thank you so much for watching or listening to the DKM podcast. If you haven't yet, follow us on Twitter at DKM podcast. As you guys know, you can listen to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere your streaming services that allows you to listen to podcasts. We're there, and you're always welcome to enjoy our content. If you haven't yet, if you want to be a part of our community, join our Discord server. It's on the description down below in the YouTube video or anywhere else in the description of wherever you guys are listening to us. I think we're going to go ahead there and wrap, guys. Stay safe out there. Take care. Until next time. See you later.